Hello and welcome. Ever since Prime Minister Modi sounded the call for an Atmanirbhar Bharat or Self-Reliant India, every government department is reaching out to the public with this message, aiming to move things in this direction in their respective departments. Today we talk about what TIFAC is doing in this regard. As a council which looks at emerging technological innovation to achieve an Atmanirbhar Bharat, just launched two new initiatives, Saksham, a dynamic web portal for jobs for Shramiks, and a seaweed mission. And joining us on the show is Mr. Srivastav of TIFAC and also Mr. Reddy, who is an expert on technologies that help in climate protection and climate change. Well, first of all, let's listen in on the occasion of its 34th Foundation Day, Niti, our correspondent Tapas Bhattacharya caught up with Dr. V.K. Saraswat, Member Science, Niti Aayog and Chairman. Let's listen in to what he had to say.
Joining me is Dr. V.K. Saraswat, the member of Niti Aayog and at the same time the chairman of TIFAC. Sir, two very important decision taken by TIFAC in its 34th year. Please talk about the two important points.
See, during this 34th year of TIFAC, we have announced two major initiatives. Number one is a Saksham portal, which will facilitate the identification of workers who have been displaced due to this pandemic from their own place of working to their basic residential places. And second one is, of course, a seaweed program, because India is having a huge coastline and we have a huge percentage of seaweed available, but our exploitation of seaweed for creating the necessary chemicals and proteins and all that has not been very good. So we want to launch a particular action plan on that, and these are the two major initiatives which have been taken. Of course, along with this, TIFAC has also done wonderful work during this period of pandemic, when they brought out a document on the economic initiatives to be taken from bringing the economy back, and also to identify the ways and means of meeting the needs of the pharmaceutical industries by developing the APIs and the KSMs and so on. So these are some of the two major initiatives which are taken, and these were very highly appreciated by Honorable Minister of Health and Science and Technology, and also our Honorable Prime Minister.
So also we spoke about the web portal. Do you believe that that's going to be a game changer for a country where it's from the length and breadth of the country, when people will be their database will be uploaded, it will provide it will give it a sense of belonging and be a game changer in giving them the job?
Yeah, it's absolutely essential, because to identify who are the people who needs the help, this portal is going to make a difference. A second thing is, there are opportunities which can be created in the places we have now moved to by knowing what are their skills, and so we can provide the necessary ecosystem in their place of residence in terms of the jobs and things like that. So this portal will be a bridge in meeting the requirement, the demand, and also the capabilities of the people. So this will be a great initiative.
Now talking about the seaweeds, India has the potential to be a leader in this particular field, but our current market value is currently not even 1%. China, South Korea, other and Vietnam, other countries are quite ahead in that.
And we go across now to Mr. V.K. Saraswat, who is the chairman of TIFAC. Sir, many congratulations on the launching of your two portals, Saksham and also we also have with us Mr. Sanjay Singh and Mr. Krishnan. Well, first coming to you, since you are, we have been able to connect with you, your response to the launching of the Saksham portal as well as the seaweed mission. Mr. Krishnan, if you can hear us. Well, let's take a look at what happened on the Foundation Day. I'd just like to ask my producer to run the package the package that we have written on the Foundation Day, but more of that later. Let's go across to Mr. V.K. Saraswat, who is the chairman of TIFAC. We were just listening to what you had to say about the launch of the Saksham portal and the seaweed mission. We are calling it a major game changer as far as an Atmanirbhar Bharat is concerned. So many congratulations to TIFAC for having launched these two missions. First of all, give us a sense of the vision behind the launch of, for example, the Saksham portal.
Statements yesterday while interacting with the DD. This is one platform which is going to make a major difference as far as the employment for the displaced laborers are concerned. You will notice that this will give us an opportunity to identify their skills which they have developed during the course of their interaction in the urban areas, and also they'll be able to come to their hometown where with the help of the state government we can provide them the necessary jobs based upon their skills. Another thing I would like to highlight here is that some of them have been upskilled so much that they can even turn into entrepreneurs, and so the rural industrialization, as we call it, can also be given a major fillip based upon the data which is retrieved from this particular Saksham portal. So I personally believe that while the displacement has not been a very pleasant journey for them, but I think ultimately there could be a gain both for the rural economy as well as for the job employment opportunities for those who have been displaced. So I think this will play a major role, Saksham. I also would like to say that the skill development missions of the country, if they are also integrated along with this, then we will be able to identify what are the skill gaps for such of these workers who have come to these places, and we can then identify what skill programs can be initiated, and they can be upgraded in terms of their skill capabilities. I think these are some of the major gains which we can get from the section program, besides of course giving them a sense of belonging, that there is a government which cares for them. Third one is there are in the post-pandemic, when we are going to continue in some ways for the direct benefit transfers, I think this portal will help in a big way in identify people who have to be really taken care of through the DBT process. So multiple uses, multiple requirements can be met. It's a very strong portal. It's a very strong platform, and TIFAC should be congratulated for doing taking such an initiative and bringing something which is absolutely essential for reducing the misery of the people who have been displaced.
Right. And when we talk about the seaweed mission, is it something that is very new, very innovative? How are you planning to go about it? Because seaweed cultivation, while it has been in practice for years, for generations, for centuries, can we say, in certain countries, and forms very much a part of their culture, it's not that much a part of the culture or the food habits or in terms of a market. Well, many things to discuss. But first of all, how did you come upon seaweed as a viable source of employment, as a viable source of industry, as a viable source of business?
See, TIFAC by the name itself, you know, it is an organization which is supposed to identify technologies, forecast their impact, and also link it with the economic development of the nation. So when we were doing our research, we identified that large number of countries have been benefited by doing seaweed cultivation. There are Koreans, the Japanese, the other in Southeast Asian countries who have been doing it, and they have gained significantly in terms of the job, in terms of economic achievements, and also provide nutrition and the food for the people of the country. So this is one area which we thought that India, with a coastline of more than 7,800 kilometers, has great opportunity. We were doing this kind of a work, I know that, in a diffuse manner, in a sporadic way, but there was no concentrated effort to take it at a large scale into the masses, so that, like the fisheries we do, or the marine culture we do in many cases, or aquaculture we do in many cases, we can also do the seaweed culture. So this was the objective. And then we did our study and we found that India has a very, very great potential for gaining from the seaweed cultivation. And we should try to come up with a scheme which will promote this in the coastal areas. So this was the this was the idea for seaweed. Second point which we realized, which is essential for us, if we do, by which will be benefited, is the climate change control, because seaweed cultivation does what is called carbon dioxide sequestration, and that would reduce the percentage of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Larger the seaweed cultivation, larger would be the percentage of carbon dioxide which will get reduced from the atmosphere. In fact, there are figures which have been given that if the world's 9% sea is utilized for seaweed cultivation, one can get almost about 50 gigatons of carbon dioxide per year can be reduced, and that will have a tremendous impact as far as the climate control is concerned. That is one. Another one is it also helps in increasing the oxygen content in the ocean. And what happens generally because of these pollution and other things, that deoxification, and because of the deoxification, there is a tremendous impact on the marine or the biodiversity, and that will also get, and the rise in the temperature of the sea. All this will certainly be reduced if we are in a position to do good seaweed cultivation. So we have food advantage, we have climate advantage, we have ocean control environment, and of course lots of job opportunities. So this is a fantastic initiative. If the country is able to push it, put in the required amount of investments, provide the necessary skills to our farmers, give the technology for doing seaweed cultivation, I think it will be a game changer.
And when we talk about the kind of training that it will need, that the people who would be involved, has that process begun? What kind of a timeline are you looking at?
See, we have our Department of Earth Sciences, and they have a couple of institutions like NIOT, and of course the Department of Fisheries and Aquaculture. These are the departments which already are engaged in variety of training programs for marine aquaculture, while which the bamboo approach, the net approach, the different kinds of net approach. So the farmers or the people who are doing, or the fishermen are being made acquainted. They are being acquainted with the kind of processes which are required and what process will lead to the maximum output. So this is being done by these three departments, but I think some more is required to be done. It is not adequate, and that is one of the objectives of this program, is not only to develop technology but also transfer the technology to the fishermen, to the people who are doing aquaculture, and also to the researchers who are engaged in the biodiversity management. So when we do this, I think this will all become part of this integrated program on the seaweed cultivation.
Right. And when we talk about supporting innovation, would there be, and learning from best practices, which are the examples that India can best follow, or would India write its own story of an Atmanirbhar Bharat, of self-reliance?
No, I think as far as seaweed cultivation is concerned, I think we should learn from what has been going on in many other countries. I think that will be of great help. As I mentioned to you, some of the Southeast Asian countries have been doing wonderful work. Philippines, Japan, Malaysia, Korea, many of them have done wonderful work as far as the seaweed cultivation is concerned, and their throughput is very high. I think we can pick up some of the tenets of technology which are used by them, and maybe customized to the Indian coastal conditions. For example, there are 3 layers of the seaweed cultivation. What we call as the low depth, that is about 1 meter depth cultivation. Then we do medium depth, that's about 7 to 10 meters of depth of the ocean we do cultivation. And third one is now the new technology which is emerging is even at a depth of 1 kilometer one is able to do that. So I think some of these areas where already significant amount of work has been done by some of these countries, I think we should try to make use of them. collaboration will be a great part of the innovation which we would like to do. In addition to that, some of the traditional practices which our fishermen have been using can also be force multiplied. For example, I know that our fishermen have been doing a lot of this algae cultivation using bamboos and nets. But only thing is their process have not been very scientific, but still it was working with the kind of limited resources what they had. I think we can do a little bit of modification with the kind of technological inputs which our scientists can provide, and the efficiency of the cultivation can be increased thereby. So both in terms of domestic innovation and also collaborative innovation will be the building blocks for this program of seaweed cultivation.
And when we talk about Shramik, we believe that one of the aims of the portal is to do away with middlemen. Do you feel that more and more as we go digital, we are able to increase the transparency in the system, to reduce corruption as well as middlemen? Well, Dr. Saraswat, we'll be coming back to you. We also have with us Dr. Sanjay Singh, Mr. Sanjay Singh, who is a scientist at TIFAC, and Mr. Kanan Srivastav, who is of the CSIR, Director CSIR. A very warm welcome to both of you as well. Coming to you, Mr. Sanjay Singh, if you can hear me. We are talking about the change, about the use of technical innovations, of the use of technology by TIFAC. Could you elaborate more on how the launch of the two initiatives, Saksham as well as the seaweed mission, are a major step forward in using technology for national priorities is?
Let me begin with giving you a snapshot of seaweeds in our country and the global picture. Just a snapshot. Seaweeds are renewable marine plants, 10,000 different species, whereas in India we have 844 species. Out of that, 30 species are of commercial importance. And the present seaweed trade value of India is rupees 50 crore. The global seaweed production is 32 million tons, worth about 12 billion US dollars. Out of that, China produces 57%, Indonesia 28%, followed by South Korea. India is having a mere share of 0.01 to 0.02% only. India having a coastline of more than 7,500 kilometers, exclusive economic zone of 2.103 million square kilometers, has a huge potential. Huge, but latent, untapped so far. The second aspect is that by 2050, India is likely to emerge as the highest populated country in the world with more than 1.7 billion people. How do we feed them? From where do we get the food production? Because more or less they have been optimized, and further there'll be more and more pressure on the available land due to, as the farmlands will be put to more lucrative uses. So sea offers an alternate option of producing food material for us. So in that respect, it gives us twin benefits. One, it gives us an option for a food material, a ready-made source. One is employment source. If even 10% is used of the available exclusive economic zone is used, at least 5 crore people can be put to given employment. And thirdly, as a game changer in the climate change, it abates CO2, it promotes O2. What we propose is that we can have Kappa ficus demonstration plants all over Indian coast, Gracilaria dura in Gujarat, Gracilaria versoca in Chilka Lake, and so on, and plus put up a few value-added demonstration plants, value-added products demonstration plants. That's what we propose to do. And in all this, we have been supported by CSM-CRI all through, Central Marine Fisheries Research Institute, Central Food Technological Research Institute, Central Institute of Fisheries Technologies. And we have been very closely working with CSM-CRI, Bhavnagar, where Dr. Kannan is the director. Yes.
Right, sir. Mr. Singh, we are looking at an Atmanirbhar Bharat. And seaweed cultivation, as you just mentioned, it could be a major game changer as far as employment is concerned, as far as harnessing technology, as far as harnessing the resources that we have in terms of our massive coastline, our very long coastline and so on is concerned. But when we talk about the investment that has to be made, do we already have it, the kind of machinery that will be required, the kind of training that will have to be undertaken from the grassroots level onwards, or is it a much simpler process?
Currently, we have about 30 odd industries, all in MSMEs, namely Mrs. Aquagiri, Mrs. Snap, Natural and Alginates Manufacturing Welfare Association, Madurai, mostly Tamil Nadu based, and one also Zero Circle and Mrs. Pushpa Desha. Together, the production volume is about 50 crores. It's at a very, very minuscule level what the global production is, and more importantly, what our production potential is. At least if we implement the mission properly, we should be able to capture at least 5 to 10% of the global market. That should not be a difficult target to begin with, because we have a huge coastline, we have identical climatic conditions, and we have an exclusive economic zone, and more importantly, we have the expertise with us in numerous laboratories. All we have to channelize them, leverage them, and give demonstration as a nucleators, nucleating this initiative. But yes, currently we are at a very, very, very initial level, very initial.
Mr. Kanan Srivastav
Yes.
of the CSIR, who's also joined us, coming to you, your reaction to the launch of these two new initiatives by TIFAC, do you see them as a major game changer? Mr. Srivastav.
As far as the Saksham is concerned, the words expressed by Dr. Saraswat is absolutely, I completely agree with you. No better than Dr. Saraswat can give a kind of a great input on that. Essentially, it is connecting the people who are having the skills, who are located irrespective of their locations, along with the competency requirements of the MSME sector. And this is a great initiative. This is a great initiative by leveraging the skill set of the Indian populace with the necessity set of industrial entrepreneurs. That is something which is a great move, and I foresee. There will be, this portal would basically enable several thousands to start with. I hope at least a few lakhs in the years to come for availing this through this portal. They demonstrate their skill set, which is going to build economy and as well as opportunity for the skilled laborers to be actively engaged in the industrial sector of this nation. This is as far as Saksham is concerned, and in fact, I'm too novice to conceptualize this kind of a big initiative taken by TIFAC. My compliments and congratulations to the TIFAC team who has mooted this idea and taking it forward. As far as seaweeds is concerned, this institute has been a kind of a big responsibility it played over the last 4 decades. As Dr. Sanjay was also mentioned, this institute has been involved on 3 major domains. Number one, it was engaged in making a kind of a different cultivation technologies for important commercial seaweeds. Number two, it was involved in the technologies development of processing these seaweeds into value-added products. And number three, it is involved in training and empowering the coastal populace of this country.
Yes.
These are the 3 major areas that this institute has been working, and whatever the seaweeds that we are talking about, a significant role has been played by this institute for the last so many decades. And it is important, as Dr. Saraswat has also pointed out, there are many challenges. We need to improve when we wanted to make it in a kind of a grandiose scales. Already government has already been initiated a program. I'm sure that most of you are aware. Department of Fisheries under Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana, they have allocated for the first time 640 crores exclusively meant for promoting seaweed cultivation in this country. And this is the first time seaweed has come into a kind of a budgeted entity for its promotion. That's number one. And also government of India has kept a kind of a target, which is something like around making a reasonable target of 1 million ton of seaweeds by 2025. And that contributes roughly around, considering today's scenario, it would contribute anywhere between 3.5% to 4% of the global population, which Mr. Sanjay was telling, it is now less than 0.1%. So we would be basically jumping by a kind of an order of magnitude on the seaweed production in the next 4 to 5 years. If these schemes are implemented and technologies are backed by the research institutions like CSMCRI. And training, as far as the training is concerned, several thousand people have been trained, and especially in the state of Tamil Nadu. And of course, though the sea is available abundantly, there are challenges are also coming along with the sea. Indian seas at different coastal maritime states in the country are different. So one technology does not suit at all places. The technology in terms of cultivation, the technology in terms of deployment would need, and the species selection would need to change depending on the the climatic zones, the rainfall index, and the temperature zones, and the micronutrient concentration in the sea. These are some of the very critical factors which define what can be cultivated and what way it is to be cultivated. And in this context, I'm very happy to say that, in fact, Niti Aayog was very pioneering efforts. Way back in 2018, we had a very strong meeting, and where we have been identified about mapping the entire locations of the country at a pan-India level, identify the pockets, identify the species which is amenable for cultivation, and make a kind of a CVD enterprise across the coastal maritime states of the country. And for which, Department of Fisheries, we have submitted the projects, and Department of Fisheries are in the final stage of considering this project. Thank you.
Right. Well, stay with us. We have with us three guests, experts in their field. We're talking about the launch of the seaweed mission and also the Saksham portal, that is to ensure that Shramiks to the tune of millions are to get jobs. It is to be a dynamic job portal that has been launched by TIFAC. Well, the TIFAC, which celebrated its 34th Foundation Day recently, launched 2 new portals, as we've been discussing. Let's take a look at all that happened during that function and what exactly are these 2 initiatives that were launched. The Technology Information Forecasting and Assessment Council, TIFAC, recently celebrated its 34th Foundation Day, in which 2 new initiatives of TIFAC were launched. Saksham, a dynamic job portal for mapping the skills of Shramiks vis-a-vis requirements of MSMEs, and a seaweed mission for commercial farming of seaweeds. 2 reports prepared by TIFAC, Techno-Economic Feasibility on Indian Bamboo as Wood Substitute and Opportunities for Fruit and Vegetable Processing in Northeastern region of India, were also launched. Saksham Job Portal will help eliminate middlemen and labour contractors, and will also help identification of skill proficiency level and development of skill cards for Shramiks. Coming to our guest, Mr. Saraswat, who is the chairman of TIFAC, when you published the report on techno-economic feasibility on Indian bamboo as wood substitute, which was launched on that occasion. Well, seaweed is something that is very new to us as a concept, as a part of our indigenous form of business and indigenous occupation. But when we talk about bamboo, when we talk about wood, that has been a part of India's trade business for a long time. What is TIFAC? What does the report say about this? How far have we come, and what is the road ahead?
India launched a major program called Bamboo Mission under the Ministry of Agriculture, and now as part of the social forestry. you will notice that there has been tremendous amount of trade in the past as far as bamboo cultivation was concerned. But over a period of time, it got reduced for various regions. And there was a time when we started even getting the bamboo products imported. I will give you an example that the candles or the matchsticks what you have, even the wooden portion of the matchstick, some of them was coming from outside and we were only adding the igniter on that. So this kind of a thing, even the agarbatti is what you have. So when the country started the bamboo mission only for increasing the cultivation of bamboo and its products. So one of the product which is going to be of great use in the construction industry is the bamboo wood. So we have decided in TIFAC to promote as part of the bamboo mission the conversion of bamboo into bamboo wood. And as a result, a number of investors have come up in the northeastern part of our country and even some of the other central India portion like Kagaj Nagar and Chhattisgarh and all that, where bamboo cultivation is being done to set up industries for making the bamboo wood. Now, bamboo wood has got tremendous advantage because the way it is being used, it can replace the current construction material like steel and cement. And in fact, one of the agencies is now coming up. They have what is called the Indian standard being adopted by the construction industry for setting up even high-rise buildings using the bamboo wood material. Already 8 feet by 10 feet kind of bamboo sheets and plates have been bamboo wood plates have been manufactured. There are a couple of industries which are already engaged in this. So we want to give a major push. Another area from the bamboo mission is when you manufacture from bamboo the bamboo wood, a lot of waste is getting created in the form of bamboo dust. And we are now trying to see if we can make use of the bamboo dust for generating energy by the process of what we use in the case of agriculture residues to biomass or biomass to bioenergy. Similarly, from bamboo dust to the biogas. So there is another major avenue which is getting opened as part of the mission. So you will have energy, you will have bamboo wood for construction material, and all this will lead to a lot of employment because many factories will come up in the northeastern region where industrialization is limited. I think that will be the greatest game changer if we are able to set up many of these industries. That is the purpose. Second thing is standardization. If we are able to do the bamboo wood standardization as per the Indian standards, I think there will be a huge export potential. And you will be in a position to export it, and the kind of cultivation that will happen is area will increase for cultivation. So there will be again job opportunities for the agriculture workers in the northeastern region and in the central India where the bamboo is being grown. So this was the part of our mission, bamboo. It is part of the bamboo mission of the country, where there's a focus on increasing the area, percentage of the area which is to be increased for bamboo cultivation, and then from bamboo to bamboo wood in terms of industrialization.
Right.
And from there, for construction industry.
In this context, I'd like to refer this to Mr. Sanjay Singh. As a scientist, you will have noticed that the government has allocated a huge sum for research and development. Will that make a major difference as far as how this process of actually implementing a vision into reality is concerned? We talk about the Northeast. There is a lot of development as far as bamboo products are concerned, but mostly on a small scale as of now. When we talk about bamboo into bamboo wood, and when the Prime Minister talks about a self-reliant India, the budget talks about being a self-reliant budget. What, as a scientist, do you see as the road ahead? Are there technological innovations that need to be popularized, that need to go out to the people so that there can be more entrepreneurs, that the private sector can come in more in this direction?
Actually, you are very correct. The report has a Northeast focus, and the report would be very valuable asset for entrepreneurs in setting up bamboo-based industries. Towards this, various machines and equipment required for bamboo products manufacturing and international standards, reforms, policy changes, what are the needed, they are also covered in the report. And not only this report, the second report which was released yesterday by our Honorable Chairman, that the opportunities for fruit and vegetable processing in Northeastern region of India. That is also with a Northeast focus. Northeastern region accounts about 5.1% of fruits and 4.5% of vegetables. And 10 fruits have been given as a GI tag. But, and there's a big but the processing aspect is very, very negligible. The second report is also oriented towards harnessing this latent regional potential of food processing, and the report identifies areas for technology interventions. Obviously, this is closely associated with entrepreneurship, technological innovations.
Right. Well, the Technology Information Forecasting and Assessment Council under the Government of India functions under the Department of Science and Technology has been doing immense work ever since its founding towards using technological innovations for the for national priority sectors, various sectors in fact. Let's take a look at all that TIFAC does.
सरकार के विज्ञान एवं प्रौद्योगिकी वित्त
The Technology Information Forecasting and Assessment Council (TIFAC) is an autonomous organization set up in 1988 under the Department of Science and Technology. The aim of the council is to look ahead in technology domain, assess technology trajectories, to support innovation by networked actions in select areas of national importance. And TIFAC continues to do this by striving for technology development. It leverages technology innovation through sustained and concerted programs and works in close association with industry and academia. TIFAC is formulating a technology vision for the country in various emerging technology areas. Prime Minister Modi released a Technology Vision 2035 prepared by TIFAC. This is being followed by the release of technology roadmaps in 12 thematic areas. The areas are education, medical science and healthcare, food and agriculture. Also water, energy, environment, habitat, transportation and infrastructure among others. Well, coming back to our guests, Mr. Kannan, when we talk about the research and development required to make all these, all the plans, all the visions into reality to implement on the ground, we're taking the example of Northeast India. When we talk about fruit and vegetable processing, how far has it been a success, and how can the vision of an Atmanirbhar Bharat, how we would understand it as more an increase of entrepreneurship, an increase where more and more individuals get into it. There's more private participation in the process. How far do you see it happening from now
on? As far as the fruits and vegetables and what do you call specific food processing based products are concerned, Northeast has got its own what do you call locational advantage, which is in fact a very important thing. And I'm sure that you are aware that there is an institute under the CSIR called as Northeastern Institute of Science and Technology, which is exclusively working on this kind of what do you call domains. And it is important that as Dr. Saraswat has rightly pointed out, it's the technology handholding as well as technology proliferation to a larger section of people is the most important what do you call contribution that would make larger penetration into the markets. So I firmly believe that labs, all the Northeastern labs, Northeastern universities, and food and technology labs of the country, like for example CFTRI, these kind of labs should be engaged very specifically. I'm sure that some of you might be aware. It was a learning for me. There are around 280 varieties of ginger are grown in Northeastern area. Okay, and something like around the ginger price, certain ginger price vary from something like around 80 rupees a kg to few lakh rupees a kg, depending on the concentration of the constituents present in that. So there is a kind of an ample amount of opportunity exists in these kind of domains, and technology, not only development, technology proliferation and entrepreneurship engagement schemes needs to be basically more promoted on those with a kind of a specific focus on that particular sector. Is my view that that would create a kind of a bigger jump from that 4.5% to, let's say, for example, doubling of it.
Right. When we talk about the seaweed mission, we are saying that when there is a particular million hectares of land which is used, it can lead to close to 50 million jobs. Mr. Saraswat, how will this process work? What kind of a timeline are you looking at in this regards?
I think this is a program which is just being initiated. It would require a certain amount of investments, and I personally believe this should be integrated as part of our Sagarmala program. The Sagarmala program has got tremendous vision with respect to developing the coastline and coastal region. And since the seaweed part will be closely associated with that, I believe that if we integrate this with the program and provide the adequate funds for setting up the the seaweed cultivation farms in different regions on a district level, all the districts should be actually asked to work on this in a challenge mode. And if they come up, then we will provide them the required technology. We will be in a position to provide certain resources, and they will develop the kind of seaweed farming that can be done. If it can be integrated, then I'm sure within about 4 to 5 years, we will have at least 50 to 60% of the process which we have anticipated can get completed. About 5 years time, we can reach 50%. Provided we are able to integrate it and make the necessary investment and support to the farmers who would be needing the initial inputs, both in terms of technology and finances.
Right, and Mr. Kannan, when we talk about the Saksham Job Portal, we believe that it will help eliminate middlemen and the labor contractor. Would you agree? How big a problem has that been so far till now, and how will a web portal, how will it help that process?
Certainly, I mean, there is absolutely no doubt that this web portal would enable, okay, in connecting the skill set with the requirement, set of people. And certainly this will also, significantly reduce the middleman engagement. And it is not about only the middleman engagement. It is about, identifying the people. What is very important in the country like us, where the skill set are available at different section of the societies and different section of the people. Okay, and if a kind of a forum like this, some kind of a portal is available, this will enable the people who are having the skill set to contribute effectively better. Okay, and these portals are largely meant for enabling those initiatives. And I firmly believe that this is certainly going to bring out the upcoming of the talents and leveraging of the talents of the Indian youth for the MSME sector significantly. And coming back to your previous question, if I'm allowed to talk.
Yes, sure.
I would say that, as far as the seaweeds are concerned, you don't need, for it to be completely using the sea is absolutely not necessary also. You don't need, the entire coast of the country to be leveraged for the cultivation. What is important is we have to identify the areas where seaweeds can be grown and where people have to be basically engaged. And especially one thing that I wanted to mention over here, as far as the seaweed cultivation is concerned, this is largely a women-centric responsibility and women-centric job opportunity.
Yes.
This is something which is very, very critical. The reason why I'm telling you is most of our coastal populace, I'm talking about coastal populace who are living very close to the coast, which is roughly around 45 million people in this country. And this particular section, roughly which is having around half of them would be kind of a women population. And engagement of the women population for the empowerment of the through the seaweed cultivation is something. It is very unique opportunity that is going to be provided. If you really interact with the seaweed fisher women folk of this country, because seaweed is largely managed by the women folk of the country more than the men. Men are largely involved in aquaculture and fishing, and women are largely engaged in seaweed cultivation. If you interact with a seaweed fisherwoman, they say that the employment, the earning generation by them is giving a kind of a financial independence in living their lives, and in grooming their children and making their homes better. That is something which is going to change when the seaweed cultivation is done, and you don't need to engage all section of people. You need only a kind of at least, as Dr. Saraswat said, even a reasonable fraction of people, maybe 20% to 30% of the people who can be basically, especially the women population. If we are going to engage, it is going to create a kind of a huge impact as far as the seaweed production productivity is concerned in the nation.
Right, and Mr. Sanjay Singh, would you agree with that it would empower women? It's a major source of income. It could be a major source of income, seaweed cultivation for women. Also, when we talk about technological breakthroughs and the use of indigenous technology, how far would it be applicable in these conditions, in this mission, can we say?
Yes. First of all, it's very true that it has a huge potential for employment of women, and as per the estimate provided in our report, TIFAC report, which Chairman has referred to, the income per person can go up to rupees 15,000. So if 2 per family are employed, so it's a substantial income can be had as far as seaweed cultivation is concerned. So this is only restricted to cultivation. If one goes into value addition, there is a multiplication factor. Further, just to add a little bit, if I may, on Shakcham, can I?
Yes, sir. Please.
Actually, Shakcham is an acronym of Shramik Shakti Manch. It's a harnessing platform of their strength. So it's a unique initiative of TIFAC where a sort of matchmaking is done. It's a dynamic portal where the skills of the Shramiks are matched with the requirements of MSMEs and other parts of the country without any middlemen, and all the services being provided does not entail any cost neither to the industries nor to Shramiks. We have enrollment from Varanasi, from Pune, from Mumbai, from Tirupur, which is the knitwear capital of India with a 45,000 crore turnover, and Bihar also. And it is growing. So we hope to enlist more and more Shramiks and more industries. So it's a sort of matchmaking, one can access it. Then what it also does is, it also assesses the information and assesses the skill gap, if any, and we will strive to cover that skill gap so that make the Shramiks job enabled. Yes.
Right. So, well, we do have some little time, and when we talk about 10 lakh, we are talking here about 10 lakh blue collar jobs, Mr. Saraswat here, and to directly connect with Shramiks, with MSMEs, eliminating middlemen, labor contractors, and identification of skill proficiency level. When we talk about identification of skill proficiency levels, has that not already been done? Is this an advancement on the older system? And when we talk about placement, what kind of placement are we talking about? Has that process already begun?
In fact, during this pandemic, one of the major initiatives which Government of India took was that the Shramiks who were going to their native places, particularly in the rural areas, there was a tremendous potential for engaging them in the upgradation of the rural infrastructure. And instead of directly transferring money for their livelihood, DBT as we call it, it was identified that scheme should be initiated by the state government, by the districts for upgrading the hospitals, the primary health centers, upgradation of the schools, the roads, the storage units for agriculture products, toilets and things like that. So that was one of the major initiatives, and most of the people who came from outside, they got engaged in this. This has been taken up by many districts and the states. As far as the registration of these people for employment is concerned, as Dr. Sanjay Singh mentioned, I think this list is growing, and now the advantage there is the MSMEs who are going to actually need them. So since it is a matchmaking kind of a platform, it will be easier for those industries in the rural areas and peri-urban areas to take advantage of their skills. So that number can swell up depending upon the location, geographical situation, and the kind of industries which are located in that region. In fact, I am one among the many thinkers in this country who will say that the concept of Dr. Kalam, what he used to mention, Pura, provisioning of the urban resources and facilities in the rural areas. I think this is a great opportunity. Through this portal, we can bring the kind of technology and kind of infrastructure projects which are there in the urban areas into the rural areas and create a same ecosystem what we have in the urban areas into in the rural areas also, so that we would avoid migration of people from the rural areas to the urban areas. This urbanization, which is one of the called as one of the engine for growth, can become ruralization, as we call it, and urban-ruralization or the urbanization of the rural areas. If we can do that using this manpower and using this particular portal and use the industry around it, use the projects which are sponsored by the government of India under the upgradation of the infrastructure, I think it will be a major game changer. And no doubt you need skills for that. And wherever there are skill gaps available, existing, it is an opportunity for national skill development councils, the state skill development councils to find out through this portal where are the gaps available and provide the necessary arrangement for skilling them. So this migration can be stopped and they will have the local jobs available. And,
right. It's a huge opportunity.
Very large. The scope of the jobs is very large. Very large. It is not very small. Storage systems, you know what is happening. In fact, you were talking about Northeastern region. One of the things which is missing in the Northeastern region is the storage. A lot of vegetables and the fruits are getting wasted out because the storage system is not there. So the private industry is now being promoted under the development of the Northeastern region for taking help of the locals for setting up such storage sites. And that will help us to export the agriculture product, the fruits and horticulture into the neighboring countries of the Northeastern region rather than bringing it to the hinterland. So there are tremendous economic opportunities that are going to come as part of the Atmanirbhar Bharat and also as part of this kind of a platform which are being created by TIFAC. I am quite certain that if we make use of them effectively, these will be all game changers.
So game changers and a huge opportunity, an opportunity for employment, an opportunity for skill development. That's the message that Mr. V.K. Saraswat, who is the chairman of TIFAC, which launched two new initiatives. In addition to publishing reports on various other aspects of economic development and how technology can be harnessed towards that development are concerned on the occasion of the 34th Foundation Day. These were the various aspects of the road ahead, the road that TIFAC intends to follow from now on in its vision for an Atmanirbhar Bharat as envisaged by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Well, many thanks to all our guests, Mr. Kanan Srivastav, Mr. Sanjay Singh and Mr. V.K. Saraswat for joining us on the show and for your inputs. That's all we have for you in this edition of Self-Reliant India. Namaskar.